they are in both Democrat and Republican districts. So obviously, as we move down the road on which ones end up finally being closed, we will keep an eye on that to be sure that it continues to be fair. One other thing that I want to mention that we saw in the numbers that wasn't mentioned in the speech, or that folks might want to take a look at, is that the road fund was slashed this year. It's about 1/2 of what it was last year, and the lowest that it's been since 1999. So that wasn't addressed at all. We're not sure the reason for that, but in terms of economic activity, oftentimes construction is viewed as a positive. So we're wondering why that is. The road fund. Road, R-O-A-D.
The other thing that was lacking, he mentioned nothing or didn't want to create a commission on retiree health care. Clearly another issue for us that's not going to go away, a difficult conversation. But as he said to us today, he was very good in letting us know we have some very tough decisions we have to make. And I would add that to his list.
He indicated earlier that he supports his plan from last year regarding group health insurance and retirees.
In a speech?
No, last night at our briefing, that's what he indicated.
Okay. Oh, was that must have been a private briefing. We weren't invited.
It was a great part.
You know what? I'll FOIA it.
All right, please do. Is that an appropriate approach if he does follow through with that?
I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about, but we'll look.
Okay. And then also his capital plan. He wants an additional $3 billion, things like university deferred maintenance, all of his water projects. Any thoughts on that?
Well, what is the revenue source? I mean, that's always the issue with capital, and there was no discussion as to what the revenue would be. You know, we traditionally have been supportive of capital bills, and something that we've worked together on, so we're open to looking at it, but it's got to have a revenue source.
Look, from my standpoint, we're like, Chris and I both worked with them. We want to be bipartisan. These problems are huge, but let's get the big ones done. Let's focus on Medicaid, on pensions, on retiree health care, on keeping the spending down, on cutting. There are a lot of other things we can talk about, but right now, these things have got to happen yesterday, and that's going to be where my focus is above all else.
Should there have been, the governor wants to actually increase spending on education, as he noted. Given the state's finances, is that, and the size of spending in the state on education, which is where, I think it's number 2 in the budget, should we have had some cuts in education given till we get caught up on the bills?
Well, I'm certainly not for increasing spending in any area.
Yeah, same way. I look, everything at a minimum has to be flat, and everything else needs to be on the table. And we are not in the luxury, or have the luxury of talking about more money. It's the reality of the place. That's why we're here. That's why we're having this discussion. That's why he gave us this speech. We have a mess, and to go that way is the wrong way. We need to be going the other way. It's very difficult. It's very uncomfortable, but it has to happen, and those are difficult conversations, as he said, but we all need to live by that.
Tom, have you had any conversations with Speaker Madigan to have the same approach you did last year, to say, let's start with a top-line budget, irrespective of what the governor proposes, and then work within that framework? I think that there's been a general discussion among the caucuses about that, but we're still talking about that. I think we have actually a meeting this afternoon. So, thanks, everyone.